So there is some psychology behind this, why we fall for these things. But let's start with Sun Tzu here. Wrote a little book called The Art of War a couple of years ago and said all warfare is based on deception. And that's what it is. It's tricking you into believing that who's sending you that message is really that person, that it's legitimate. It's tricking you into taking an action you wouldn't normally take, like opening a link, like opening a document and enabling active content. These are all the things that they do, and they use deception to do that. Well, to get you to make these mistakes, to fool you into doing things wrong, they play a lot with our emotions. Now, emotions are an interesting thing because they control so much of what we do, and we don't even always realize it. Daniel Kahneman, he wrote up this system, the two systems of thinking. System one is fast, system two is slow thinking. Essentially, system one is the stuff that we do instinctually. We don't really give it a lot of thought, right? We don't think about when we get up to walk somewhere. We're not left leg, right leg, and doing that kind of thing. It just happens. System two thinking is what we do when we need to do critical thinking, like puzzle solving, like looking at things in a critical manner. The problem is emotions drive us into the system one thinking, again, the instinctual side, which is very prone to errors. If you think about times you've been super excited, super mad, super happy, or whatever, how good is your decision-making process during that? And the answer is probably not very good. However, when we get to critical thinking, we can find these things a whole lot better, but it takes a lot more energy. And frankly, a lot of us are kind of hurting on the energy side these days, which has made it worse. So the pandemic has been a piece of this. Employees, people, they're tired. Like this thing hit, it was huge, it was stressful, it was a big problem. But on top of that, not only was it stressful then, but it's continued to be stressful as it's persisted. We've moved forward, it's been about 2 years, and we still have COVID outbreaks being tracked in the news. We still have issues going on. It's very, very stressful for people. And the stress comes from all these areas. It comes from finances. It comes from information releases being back and forth. Who hasn't seen arguments in social media from people that is based on bad information on one side or another? There's all this kind of stuff that's happened, and the scammers absolutely love it. Why? Again, because they use those emotions and that pressure to get us to make the mistakes, to miss the fact that that email we got from a controller was at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and they probably wouldn't be asking us to wire money at that time, right? These are the kinds of things that when we're in an emotional state, we don't notice. So what they're doing is a practice called social engineering, and that's using the way that we're built as humans against us. In other words, there are certain things that we will typically do in certain circumstances. There may be a couple of different things we can do, like if somebody becomes aggressive with a person, that person may push back against that and become aggressive back, or they may become more passive. And that's another reaction that's very common. And that can change from day to day, how much sleep we've had, what's happened during the day, if we're already frustrated. But we know that one of those two reactions is typically what we're going to see. And these are the games that they play with the emotions when they're scaring us, when they're getting us to do this kind of stuff.